Now, on Tuesday, the 18th of June, Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State directed heads of administration in the 23 local government areas of the state to assume leadership of the council areas. Governor Fubara gave the directive in a statewide broadcast in Port Harcourt following the expiration of the tenure of the 23 council chairmen. Subsequently, the State Independent Electoral Commission fixed the 5th of October for the conduct of local government elections in the state. The chairperson of the Election Commission, Adolphus Enebeli, announced at a stakeholders meeting in Port Harcourt on the 1st of July that the council polls became necessary following expiration of the tenure of the council chairman. The embattled council chairman, who insisted they remain in office following the decision of the State House of Assembly to extend their tenure, became more emboldened following the Supreme Court judgment granting autonomy to local government areas. Now, so what's the impact of the Supreme Court judgment on the political situation in Rivers State? Now, joining me for in-depth discussion on the matter is the embattled chairman of the Ikure local government area of Rivers State, Samuel Uwanosike, and a former member of the House of Representatives, Ehiozuwa Johnson Agmonayima. Good to have both of you join us.
Thank you for having me.
Very much for having me.
Let me begin with you on this matter, Dr. Uwanosike, as we begin with the situation in Rivers State. We saw just a few days ago a rally in support of the president, and perhaps maybe that's one of the most peaceful demonstrations we've seen coming from Rivers State in recent times. What's your reading, of the situation in Rivers State now, where things are?
First of all, I would want to plead with you to allow me to put the narrative correctly for the public before I answer this question that you asked. Your intro, you did mention that Governor Siminalayi Fubara on the 18th of June directed heads of local governments to take over our various 23 local government councils. It is not correct, ma. Governor Fubara did constitute a caretaker committee made up of his cronies and some civil servants. And they were presented to the Okojombo-led House of Assembly, who the Court of Appeal has said is not in existence. All action taken by them is null and void. They were screened, and Governor Fubara swore them in as caretaker committee chairman. And it was at that point, because a court of competent jurisdiction has said, the Supreme Court in several judgments, even before the 11th of July judgment has said that the caretaker committee is not known to our law. It's at that point that the crisis broke out in our state, and that led to the police, the IG, to intervene to save lives and property at the third tier, to barricade all 23 local government councils.
Dr. Uwanosike, thank you for the correction, but we are actually right. I just said that he constituted a committee, whether they were members or not. But
what you said in your intro, you said that he directed heads of local government. He didn't do that. If he had done that,
Dr. Uwanosike, let's get to the conversation. I was asking you where things are now in Rivers State, and what's your reading of the situation?
Yes, Rivers State, as we speak today, can be considered a lawless state in the sense that the man that swore to an oath to uphold the Constitution of Nigeria as the governor of Rivers State have decided not to do anything with the Constitution of our country and have decided to govern our state like a banana republic. Rivers State is the only state in the federation that funds are being expended in running a government without appropriation. The last life of appropriation we had was at the end of June. Since 1st of July to date, there's no new appropriation in our state. But every day, funds coming into Rivers State through internal generated revenue and statutory federation allocations have been expended by the governor without any appropriation. Because like you know, Justice Omotosho on the 24th of January 2024 did rule that you cannot send the appropriation to a House of Assembly that does not exist. Edison here never existed. Nobody made him speaker, nobody elected him speaker, and you say you have a budget. Please represent your budget to the proper assembly led by Martin Samuel. In fact, even
Dr. Uwanosike, you say that your reading, because my question was what's your reading, and you have said that, Rivers State is in a state of lawlessness. But from whom exactly?
Yes.
Because some people will say that, look, all sides have been cherry picking on court judgments, and at this point, it's just a lot of court judgments, and everybody's picking on which one, best suits them.
It's not true, man. That is why we are calling on the AJC, we are calling Nigerian Bar Association to rise to the occasion. And we're calling on even former justices, because there's something happening that everybody is quiet about. In Rivers State, there's a governor. The governor's name is Governor Silala Ifubara. And for a governor to manage the affairs of government, you must obey the rule of law to encourage investment to come into this town. You must make sure that you uphold the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I'm explaining to you, man, that from 1st of July till date, today is 17th of August, there is no budget of how Rivers State is being run. Apart from that, even when Court of Appeal twice have made pronouncement and certified true copy of that judgment have been transmitted to all parties, including your station, your own station has it, and it's sitting there in black and white. Okojombo-led House of Assembly does not exist. All action taken by them are null and void. Just a few days ago, the same of our governor took names of Rivers people to Okojombo-led Assembly to go and screen them, and he has sworn them in as commissioners, which means he doesn't have respect for the Court of Appeal. Now, the worst of it all is what we are discussing now. We have forwarded to your studio certified true copy of judgment of the Supreme Court, certified true copy of the justices, their ruling on the 11th of July. I want you, ma, please, for the sake of this program, if you can just screw it for Nigerians to read and lawyers to read. We are saying in Rivers State, if the justices have said that as enshrined in our Constitution, in an event that there is no opportunity to conduct an election, whether through war, crisis, or disagreement, or whatever, that Mr. President, that the National Assembly, in the case of Mr. President, can extend the president's tenure by 6 months. That's also implied in that judgment. The justice said it also implies for that of the state that in an event the state fails to conduct an election, for instance, in our own state, we had no war, we had no crisis. All we had was that the governor refused to conduct an election. He didn't want to bring an appropriation. The SIEC he set up has no funding, no preparation of any kind. The worst of it all, a court of competent jurisdiction has given an order stopping INEC and security agents from participating in the 5th of October election. And the question we are asking, you had the whole of last year. You knew our tenure. By the way, House of Assembly have adjusted it to 3 years. And if you look at that certified true copy judgment of the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court did mention there, clearly in black and white, that all executive tenures in the 3 years should be 4 years. That's what the Constitution says. But it was the same House of Assembly that went back to adjust our tenure to 3 years. Now, Supreme Court has said this same House of Assembly has the right to extend the tenure of this elected chairman for 6 months so that it can create room to conduct an election. The question is, even when Court of Appeal has said caretaker is illegal, our governor is still insisting, giving funds seized from us.
I want to bring in Honorable. I want to bring in Dr. Wanosika. I want to bring in Honorable Hezo into the conversation. Just a minute, because you were talking about the extension of your tenure, but that judgment came. Just a minute. That judgment came, even after your tenure has expired. But let me bring in Honorable Hezo into the conversation. What do you make, of all that is playing out in Rivers State? Nobody has decided to shift ground yet. Everybody picking up on the judgment that best suits them.
Well, if I may say anything at all, I just want peace to reign in Rivers State, because democracy is at play, and the way it's being played out is not encouraging for all Nigerians. My prayers is that everybody, whether APC, PDP, should look for a way to think about the masses, about the people. It's about the people, really. When you look at it at the end of the day, It is the people that elected, those that are in helm of affair. So we must put them first. The wrangling, quarreling, fighting will not yield any fruit. And we must obey the rule of law. That is the fundamental issue that we all should always, put at the front burner, obeying the court order. And it's unfortunate that we have found ourselves over the years where we begin to talk about caretaker committee, caretaker, across the country. It's an aberration. No, that is not democratic. Because they said there are 3 tiers of government: federal, state, and local government. And there's supposed to be an election. An election if we are bringing the president, an election if we are bringing governor, an election if we are bringing council chairman, which are called mayor of that, local government, to govern their state. That is the reason why today the grassroots have been suffering, because politics is about the grassroots. Politics is about the local. It's downtrodden, going down. They have been forgotten over the years, where governors across the country, not just rivers, it's across the country, always dealing with caretaker. Where did you not get caretaker from? I would have said, okay, let it be that Mr. President can also have caretaker governors, so that the president can also impose and put some governor and say, okay, you go, and replacing you with some other person to be the governor of your state. That is what the state governors are doing to this country. They are destroying democracy, and they have put democracy on trial because caretaker is not in our constitution. I'm a lawmaker, I'm not a lawbreaker. So my own take here is that there will never be a winner or a loser. Because at the end of the day, it is the people that will suffer. I am appealing. I am pleading.
Honorable Eyozuwa, and interesting you said you are a lawmaker. And I want to bring that perspective into the conversation, because the bone of contention here, that is, again, the illegality of the caretaker committee has been resolved by the judgment from the Court on Local Government Autonomy. But the major challenge here now, which has not been resolved, is the idea of the tenure elongation for the local government chairman, which is now a major challenge. Where they say, look, within the law, they are right to stay in office and their tenure continues. But people are saying, look, you were elected, 3 years has expired. Speak to that tenure elongation by the House of Assembly.
That is another issue that we have to contend with. If you were elected to serve for 3 years and your tenure haven't expired, the normal thing is to exit. And unfortunately, there's never a vacuum. Never a vacuum, either in presidency or a governor or the council chairman. So how do we, remedy the problem that is facing us? And that is why the law, the judgment that we have received so far, that both sides should stay on the line of justice. Let all of us obey the rule of law by obeying court judgment. That is the first thing we must do. But once we fail to stand on the side of law, to obey the constitution of which we have decided to uphold, then it's a total failure on our part. So I am still pleading that we need peace in rivers, we need peace across the country, so that the citizens can benefit from this democracy we are practicing. They say democracy is for the people, by the people. I'm not the people. So if we continue to fight, now when you continue to fight like this, who suffer? The grass. So I am appealing, I am saying, let all of us put hands together to make Nigeria a better country. So Nigeria can be among the best countries in the world. It is possible, it is doable, if we are all committed, if not just because of greediness or selfishness. Let's first of all put the Nigerian people at first. So if we have this, that we are here to serve the people, we are elected to serve the people, It's not about us. I think we will now have reason to think about the people, where we can bring infrastructural development, where people can benefit, and employment. All this can come into place. When there is infighting, you can never achieve anything. So I'm not here to having blame games or try to point finger at anyone. I'm only just saying, let's stand on the path of law. Let's obey the rule of law. Let's obey court judgment, because once we do that, we have faith in our responsibility to serve in any capacity.
All right, let me bring in Dr. Wanosike again into the conversation. Dr. Wanosike, I just wanted to ask if you can give us an idea of the state of things at the local government councils, especially yours. And then do you also know if, because we know that monies will now be transferred directly to local governments, do you have any information of whether those allocations are now being sent to the local governments already?
Okay, that's the three questions in one. But let me start by reminding us, including my elder brother, who is a lawmaker, that democracy is a process, it's not an event. And that all of us are watching our leaders, including him. We are watching from Mr. President to the governor. The young leaders all over the 704 local government are watching. And histories have been noted. We are writing in our little diaries, in our little books, what people are doing, how people are shifting goalposts because a particular issue is at stake. Especially the media, including you, the press. You are supposed to be the check to democratic activities. We're talking about a Supreme Court judgment, for crying out loud. I don't know what anybody is telling me about the fight. There's no fight anywhere. We're not fighting with anybody, man. We didn't take the case to the Supreme Court. It was the federal government, Mr. President, that took this case to the Supreme Court. It was the Attorney General himself that took the case to the Supreme Court. And we are telling you that the certified true copy of the judgment is in the public. It's with you, madam. Read it out to the public what the justices have said. If the justices have said that for the case of Mr. President, in the event there is crisis, you could not conduct election, the National Assembly has the right to extend the tenure of Mr. President by 6 months. It's there, certified true copy, a decision of the Supreme Court, which is the final leg of our law. After that, they say it's God. And in a democracy, somebody is telling me, for what are we fighting? If we say we should obey the rule of law, is the governor of Rivers State, Fubara, above the laws of Nigeria? Will Governor Fubara sit in appeal on the decision of the Supreme Court? Is that the democracy people want us to practice? I am here as Dr. Wanosike Samuel. I had no role to stop Governor Fubara from conducting local government election in Rivers State. He had everything in his hands. He decided to go the wrong route of instituting caretaker committee. Even as we speak now, even since 11th of July, the Supreme Court ruled that caretaker is unknown to our law. Go to Rivers State now. Funds are still being given through Governor Fubara to the illegal citizen people. They are going to people's businesses, beating up people, harassing people to collect revenue in the name of caretaker committee. They are carrying functions attended by lawyers at the lower bar. People who are supposed to uphold judgment of Supreme Court and seen with this same caretaker committee chairman hobnobbing. And we say we are doing democracy because it's Rivers State. But when it happened in Kano here, lawyers came and said, no, this is where the law should go. So for us in Rivers State, our point is, will we be treated differently? Are we not in the same Nigeria? Are we not part of the same federation? If we are, when Supreme Court ruled in a particular state that a man came forth in an election and that man, because of ABCD, is the governor of that state, everybody obeyed. Why is it difficult to allow us, who Supreme Court has said that yes, our House of Assembly, Martins and Mewule led us, have the right to extend our tenure by 6 months, and there will be no vacuum. The question is, who is afraid of having this chairman stay for 6 months while you conduct your local government election?
Dr. Wanosike, two issues I want you to respond to. First of all, lawyers have spoken to the illegality of both houses of assembly, as they now claim to be. and then your tenure was already extended even before the Supreme Court judgment. So, and the illegality of that has also been spoken to even before the Supreme Court judgment. So I wanted to speak to both, issues.
Thank you. For that of House of Assembly, it has been rested by the judgment of the Court of Appeal, man. Twice. The Court of Appeal has maintained, don't forget, 2 sets of people went to court. Court of First Instance, they lost, they went to Court of Appeal. Okojombo led it into Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal ruled that Okojombo does not exist. And every action taken by him is null and void. Your studio has the certified true copy of these judgments I'm talking about. It's there. Now, another set of people went to court as elders of River State. On the same Okojombo and Martins Amewule, the same Court of Appeal repeated the same thing. That Okojombo is not in existence. It's null and void. What Okojombo and the governor were supposed to do was to go to the Supreme Court. They have refused to go to the Supreme Court. What are they doing? They are still recognizing Okojombo, calling Court of Appeal bluff. So the governor swore an oath to govern Rivers people democratically with the Constitution, and decides that any judgment of court that does not favor him, he will not obey. In fact, the governor came on national television and said it is his right to say who is the assembly, that he will decide who is the assembly. And I'm asking my elder brother, the lawmaker there, is it the governor's right to decide who will be the assembly of River State people? The same people that contested the election with him on the same date, the same way we voted for him was the same way we voted for them. Well, I was the DG of his campaign. All 23 local government chairmen were all DGs of his campaign. And we won in our local government 23/23. But what we are saying, you are the governor. Supreme Court has said you are the governor. We have celebrated you. We've gone to thank God. But we're saying governors by the Constitution. A wood seller will do his business with his sawmill. A man who is a farmer will go to farm with his tools. As a governor, your first tool is the Constitution and rule of law, so that people have confidence in your government. If Court of Appeal said the House of Assembly you are working with is illegal, why don't you appeal that judgment to the Supreme Court and see what will happen? Now, while you are talking about our tenure, the federal government took local autonomy case to Supreme Court for interpretation. And in course of interpreting it, they went deep and settled the entire matter. And we have certified a copy of it. And we have sent it to them. And we're saying, who is stopping the implementation of the laws of Nigeria? Can a governor sit on appeal over the judgment of Supreme Court? Is it possible? So that's the question we're asking. Why is the governor still working with the illegal caretaker committee chairman, parading them and giving them the funds belonging to elected local government chairmen? That's the problem. So the issue of the Okojombo Assembly is dead and gone, it's forgotten. And I'm happy that the House of Assembly by Martins Amewule wrote a letter to the governor reminding him before the expiration of the lifespan of that budget, 2023 budget. And the governor called that letter bluff. As we are speaking, the House of Assembly has moved the resolution to the Inspector General of Police and all security aides, telling them the crisis happening in Rivers State, that this caretaker committee chairman put together by Senator Fuga are still going around harassing people, creating crisis in the 23 local government. Security crisis, bridges. It's rather than arrest them for contempt of court, they are being given funds to buy racketing cars and share to people in the name of empowerment. Funds that
we cannot ascertain some of these or substantiate some of these allegations you're making.
And I'm stating it on live television.
And so I'm saying, we cannot substantiate it. I will just move away from it. Let me bring in Honorable Herzua into the conversation. Honorable, when you also look at the fact that because the governor had announced, I think October the 5th for local government elections in Rivers State, there is also now another court judgment to put that on hold. This idea of everyone, taking one case or the other to court in Rivers State and getting different court judgments, what do you also make of it?
It is a sad situation where we have found ourselves in our dear nation, Nigeria. This democracy we are practicing, I think we borrowed it from the United States of America. I have lived in America for many years, and this is not how it is being practiced. Where litigation upon litigation, whether federal, whether state, or local government, this is an aberration. We can never achieve anything if we continue this path. Over the years, we have not been able to get it right. Litigation from one place to another. Elections have to be conducted. Those elected should serve. If the Supreme Court have given their judgment, which is the final, they are final. Once Supreme Court have given judgment, everybody, no matter how highly placed you are, you must obey that judgment. Whether this High Court, Court of Appeal, or Federal Court, we have to obey the judgment of the competent jurisdiction. Failure to do that, that means you have disobeyed the law of the land. Whether the judgment was fair or not fair, because our judiciary, at least we need to do a lot to sanitize the system. Because in every election, you see people going to court, tribunal, appeal. We have never gotten it right. Something is wrong until we decide to know that democracy is not by going to court every day, every moment. When there's an election, everybody troop out to go to court, to fight charges. Oh, I won, I didn't win, because the process have already been hijacked. If the process from the onset, it is, well conducted, well presented, well organized, and the outcome definitely will be accepted by the people. It is only when there are fraud an election that you see people going here and there, because we need to stop this. It happened to me. It happened to me. I can tell you, where in an election that I won, the chairman of the tribunal, after giving judgment in the process, he got a phone call. As he was giving judgment, he got a phone call and picked up the phone and stood up and excused himself. And came back and said, I'm sorry, the DSS report have no value. That the DSS officer who came to testify, that his testimony is inconsequential. And the case is hereby dismissed. We went to appeal. The chairperson of that appeal, Justice Iheme Nwosu, wonderful woman, because she refused to collect bribe. What happened? On Saturday, she was kidnapped, the oddly killed. On Sunday, judgment was given against me. This is an election that the INEC who changed the result, who deliberately changed the result, was arrested by DSS. And I have to give kudos to DSS for a wonderful job. So all these problems compounded. The security system, INEC, our judiciary, we must rise up to our expectation, because something is wrong. The democracy we are practicing today
I have to put
is
you on hold.
not the one we should be practicing.
We're still going to speak with you for the rest of the show, but I have to get the last word on this from Dr. Wanosike. Dr. Wanosike, I mean, what do you make of that judgment putting the election on hold? And are you and your colleagues willing to participate in the local government election eventually when it holds?
First of all, you cannot see election is a process, like I said, man. You cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. Election is not because the governor said, oh, I want election conducted on the 5th of October. Then you say the election is on. No, there are processes. And if you don't follow any of those processes, you affect the other leg of the processes. For instance, election into the office of the chairman and councillors are being conducted by Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission called ISEC. It's an agency of government as recognized by the laws of Rivers State and the laws of Nigeria. Meaning every fund and operational activity they will go about must be appropriated for. And we are asking, on what appropriation is that agency standing today? None. There's no budget. There's no, even paying worker salary is illegal right now to speak in our state because there's no appropriation, man. That's point number one. Point number two, a court of competent jurisdiction has issued a court order stating that INEC should not participate in that process. And don't forget, INEC plays a major role in all the state independent electoral commission because the database of the register and other documents they will use to authenticate that process must come from INEC. And you need to vacate that order. Security. The security agent led by the police, who is the head of internal security, has been banned by court not to participate. Until those orders of courts are vacated, that election is like building something or nothing. So we cannot participate in an event, in a process that will end up become declared null and void. We won't do that. But what we are saying, we're not against you doing what you want to do because everybody in Nigeria understands what they want to do. But what we are saying is that if Supreme Court has given a judgment on the 11th of July and said it takes immediate effect, meaning that you will obey first before you come and say whatever you want to do. If the governor have respect for the rule of law and the judgment of Supreme Court, the statutory copy is out and he has a copy of it, all he needs to tell his Attorney General, please, it's painful, but we need to obey. While they are in office for maybe how many months, we will do the election. When we do the election, we will follow up all that, and then at the end of the day, if the election stands, better. If court says it does not stand, we think about that direction. You cannot disobey the laws of Supreme Court because you're a governor and you think we're on a democracy. Or you think because some governors from other states are saying they are appealing to federal government to give them an extension window of how many days. There's nothing like that, not to law. There is nothing like that. In fact, the federal government have done so well by taking this interpretation suit to the Supreme Court. Because if it was the other way around, going through National Assembly and Senate, you know it will still fail. It has failed severally. But kudos to President
what then
for holding the bull.
What then is the way forward? Because people have said there has to be a solution to what is going on in Rivers State.
The solution is simple.
Judgment has not helped. Will a political situation, a solution also help?
No. We're not going into the political solution, man. Supreme Court is the final court of our land. If we respect our country and the international community is watching us, they are watching what's happening in this country, and you're calling for foreign investors to come, and they are hearing that a place you want them to come and invest, that Supreme Court, the highest court of their land, gave a law, and that some sort of people say that that law should not be obeyed, that they should extend it, then that means you've created problem for us as a country. So what the right thing to do is that Attorney General should insist that we be allowed to go back to office. That is obeying the Supreme Court order. Well, once you obey the Supreme Court order, then other things can follow. We will have to be allowed to go back to office. But we didn't give that judgment. We didn't go to court. It was the government that went to court. So today, Supreme Court has ruled in our favor. We should be allowed to go to our offices, pending when he will conduct his election. And don't forget, the House of Assembly, as stated by the Supreme Court Citizens Advisory Committee judgment, is clear, has the right to extend our tenure pending when election is conducted. And they have done so. And we are saying, allow us go and resume work. And he says no. It's the governor of the state who won't let that happen.
All right.
If citizens decide not to obey the law randomly, like he has decided not to obey the law, what will be the situation in our state?
Dr. Wanosike, we do have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Dr. Samuel Wanosike, who joined us from Rivers State. We're going to move to another conversation, but Honorable Ehiozuwa Johnson Agbonaima will be sticking with us for that conversation. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll focus our attention on the coming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo State. Stay with us, everyone.